So I was thinking about the tree posture today.
The tree, yeah.
So what does that do for you? I mean, I could say.
What does it do for you?
Yeah.
What do you all think without thinking?
Balance.
Well, that's simple.
Which balance? Body or mind?
Both.
You see?
Concentration.
But the balance is a hard thing to do in life, especially in this culture, to be a yogi or a yogini in this culture. You definitely need a lot of balance, right? Everything is against what we're teaching. Very much is against what we're doing. So sometimes it's a little tricky, you know. Remember the time, I think I told you, Swamiji and I, you know, we sort of became vegetarian when we lived in Europe for a few years because we couldn't afford the meat, except we would have one piece of chicken on Sunday and we'd split it between the two of us, okay? So then we came home and met Swami Rama, and he started to talk about why vegetarianism is very good for your spiritual growth. And we thought, oh, it's easy. So we became vegetarians. And after about 4 years of being vegetarian, there was a very nice couple that came to the Institute, and they wanted Swami Jaidev and myself to go to supper at their place. And we reminded them they were vegetarian, that we were vegetarian. And they said, oh, no problem, no problem. And when we went to their house, they had spaghetti for us. And it didn't look or smell just right, so we asked, is there meat in here? Oh, no, 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 we know you're vegetarian. And after we finished all the dinner, they told us, we were kidding, it's all meat.
Oh my gosh.
And they wanted to see that, see, you could eat meat, what do you mean you're vegetarian? So I was a little too polite, okay? I told them that really might hurt us, they shouldn't have done that. Swami Jaidev, like that, stood up, went into the bathroom, grabbed a glass of water, drank a bunch of water, and threw it all up.
Really?
Okay? They were quite upset that he threw up supper. So I'm trying to cover for him, you know, because I could hear him. That kind of thing, you know? And we left after another 20 minutes, and we went right to Guruji, okay? And told him what happened, and he said, what? They did what to you? He was very upset. And he said, Tree, it will take you at least 8 months to clean that out of your body. He says, I will help you. Okay.
Can you say some more?
It took quite a while for the body to get all of the meat out, and the, meat is made up from all these different, what's the word I'm looking for?
Proteins?
Yeah. He says it'll attach onto different parts of the body, and to become as clean as I was before I went to dinner would take 6 to 8 months.
Is it the same with, because that was red meat. I mean, is it the same with even poultry and stuff? It's just all the proteins?
I think it depends on your body and how long you've been vegetarian, so you have to be really careful of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an interesting one. Huh?
A lot of bad karma for them.
Yes, they didn't come back. They came once or twice, and then they were finished with yoga.
Hopefully they just were so ignorant they didn't realize
I think they didn't
the
realize
extent
just
of what they were doing.
right.
Yeah. I think
So they
just-
tried to sneak it in, and it's not why we don't like the taste of it. It's that we made a decision what to do.
Right.
You know, so that it depends very much, depending on what you're eating, what it does to your body, and then of course to your mind. Of course.
Isn't it not only the proteins, isn't it the vibratory effects?
Yes, of course, of the animal. That's why how the animal was killed is important. Was the animal very frightened, angry, upset? Because what happens when you get very scared or angry?
Oh, hormones and
Yeah.
stuff.
Exactly. And then if you were killed right then, that would be in, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So much of it goes into that the yogis have said that whenever possible, try not to eat another animal. And if it's important that you have to, like some of the Tibetans must, they don't have vegetables growing up there about 9 months of the year, you know. So they eat meat. They had to do that, but they take such very good care of meat. And they explain to the animal, now you're going to become our food today. We love you very much. And, it's just a different way of killing the animals also and taking care of them. So it's what you want to do with your consciousness. Usually beginners for a couple of years, they don't want to mess up their dinner. Okay, so they'll do yoga postures, they may do a little breathing, and maybe once in a while if they happen to come by the Institute, okay, I'll do some meditation. Okay. But I'm not giving up my meat. That will make a difference in the consciousness. Eventually you will not want to eat animals, you won't want to eat fish, you won't want to eat too much sugar, you won't want to eat too much cream. It'll just start coming to you that way. And that's your own unconscious telling you what you need to do next. So it works. And much as Swami Rama loved his tilk, you read that? And I don't know how many mugs of tilk I made him in a day, just so many. As he got older and older, he left the milk out. So different teas. So as the body changes, as we get older, so you want to pay real close attention to it as best you can. Okay? You all know who Ramakrishna is? Ramakrishna Paramahansa, a great saint. This is a quotation from him which I fell in love with. You are here to eat mangoes, not to count the number of leaves on the mango tree.
Yeah.
Yes?
Right over my head. I'm sorry.
Anyone have an idea what he's saying? Yes.
You're here to enjoy, not to worry.
You're here enjoying, not to worry.
Experience.
Experience what?
You're here to experience then, rather than get caught up in, I know what I want to say, but I'm not saying it very
Quality
well.
over quantity.
Detail or?
Quality over quantity?
Enjoy the sensory input without analysis.
Mhm.
Do your practice and don't spend all that time with book learning.
Book learning?
Yeah.
You're talking to a publisher?
But you teach classes too, right?
But we only publish certain things, don't we?
Sure, good things.
There are so many people that make rules, lots and lots of rules. If you go to a church, right, could almost be any church, you'll get lots and lots of things you should do, ways you should dress, things you should say, times you should be there, times you better not be there. Okay, how much money to give, who's in charge, and then the hierarchy of the church. It's so important that that's more important than why am I going to church in the first place? And pretty much all human beings get into this social strata that we do, and we forget the main thing. So if we go to a wonderful mango tree, we're going to say, whoa, this is a big bush. Oh, let's see, this branch has 500 leaves on it. Oh, I wonder how many, we're going to forget about the mangoes. That we came to eat mangoes to that tree. And the same thing happens when we come to life in general. We forget why we're here, right? Do you all know why you came?
Have
No?
fun
To enjoy life.
Welcome. Remember I told you there's a dummy, I'm trying to think, well, there's so much to do, so much work to do. And so one day I asked Swamiji, I said, Swamiji, why did I come to this earth? And he says, to have fun. That's what we're supposed to be doing. It's to have fun. He said, yes, and you came specifically to be with me, to do my work. But you're supposed to have fun doing it. No, let's see. Come on in. So it sounds like that you're here to eat mangoes and not count the leaves. You see? I think sometimes we forget what we're doing here and what's our purpose in life. And when you eat mangoes, you have to fall in love with them, right? So a lot of love comes out of that too. When you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you'll enjoy. Okay. I have a couple of little statements that, sometimes you probably all do this. You'll come out of meditation and a thought just will come to your mind, just like that. Does that happen? Mm-hmm. Write it down if you can. So try to keep, not while it's coming, what you do when you're meditating, we say to let everything go. When something wonderful comes, say, after meditation, it'll come back to you. Don't look at it twice, just say come after meditation and let it go past. Okay? So then after meditation, and it comes to you, if you're driving home or something, keep repeating it and think about it. And sometimes some very good thoughts will come up that way. I have a couple here that over, I don't know, a few months or something have come up. When we sing the Wave of Bliss and the Wave of Beauty from Shankara, within, we should float on the wave of bliss, and without, we should float on the wave of beauty. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. We should appreciate beauty around us constantly. And that reminded me of that eating the mango and don't count the leaves, because the same thing. If you have any kind of Aries personality, like I do, I'm a quadruple Aries, right? That's why Swamiji put me to work so much, I think. There's always something to be done, and it's easy to overlook some of the beauty of life. So when the sages inspired Shankara to write the wave of beauty, wave of bliss, it's really wonderful. Without, we should float on the wave of bliss on the inside. On the outside, we should float on the wave of beauty, because it's all around us. When we mingle our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions, that's when things around us start to look ugly. See the difference? It's when we put ourselves in the picture, especially emotions. Then all the beauty, it's a real simple example. But occasionally I'll stand by the big window there, and look out at the garden. And it's so beautiful. The design is great, the water's bubbling, the flowers are there. And most of the time I'll look out and I'll say, oh, thank you, Guruji, you gave us such a beautiful place, And I'll just admire it. And then someday, when I'm not quite so calm, I'll look out there and say, oh my Lord, look at those weeds. Okay? And we do the same thing with our life. How are you looking at your own life? Are you looking at the negative part, all the weeds that you have to pull yet? Or are you looking at the beauty? And it's true that we do have weeds to pull, but I don't think we take enough time to just look at the beauty. We need to do that a little bit more. Don't even make it 50-50. What do you think, 75-25 maybe, something like that? Or at least 60-40? Therese says 80-20. Yeah, because we all have so much to do that we forget the beauty of what we've been given. The very fact that you were invited into a almost 6,000-year-old meditation tradition, it's incredible. There are millions and millions of people around the world that they never heard of meditation, yoga, breathing. They don't know how to do it. And here you're in the oldest yoga tradition in the world. How did we get here? Such blessings we've been given, huh? We have dumb questions. We have someone to ask. If we can't ask, we go to Guruji. He'll let us know. And it's just so incredible. So stop putting yourself down too quickly, all right? First, whenever you're going to condemn yourself, look in the mirror and you have to list at least 9 good things before you say the one bad one, okay? It's hard to do, but give it a try. 9 good ones. You even have to say, I have wonderful feet, I have all 10 toes, that counts for 2, right? Yeah, it's sometimes hard to praise ourselves, but it's very, very important. I found over all the years that the more we think of negative things about ourselves, or the dumb things that we did, or the important things that we failed to do, we keep putting ourselves down a little bit. It's very hard then to even consider going into deep samadhi, because we don't deserve it. Okay? I've actually had a couple students tell me that. Most students feel it, but they won't say it. Okay? Of course we deserve to be in samadhi. That's where we came from. But as long as we keep putting ourselves down, it gets harder and harder to remember who we are. Okay? And we're not this, like another bruise over here. We're not this body that holds the clothes. We're not this hair. We're not these eyes. We're something deep inside that's part of the divine, that is the divine. I remember one time Guruji was talking to me about who we are, and he said, just think of God as a great big ball, and God exploded, and all the little tiny pieces became a human being. And I said, whoa, is that what happened? He said, sort of. So I said, Swamiji, so if we take all these human beings and glue them all back together, we have God? He says, actually, it's bigger than God. I said, whoa, this is pretty cool. Isn't that incredible? So all of us have a piece of the divine, and some of us cover it up very well, right? Hard to see it. Some of the people you might see on the news, you go, I don't know where they put God, but she's really hidden in there. Some of the people that kill others, for example, hard to see the divine there. Swami Jaidev and I talk about that quite a bit. We'll see something, and we'll say, that divinity's really hiding in that one. But divinity is there. The hardest part to find it is within yourself. That's what some of you are thinking. That should be the easiest.
So then is it our uncontrolled mind that
It's the mind, it's our ego.
It's keeping us from knowing what's already there, or wanting to see what's already there?
You don't want to either?
I don't know. I mean, the uncontrolled mind does something to keep us from
Yeah, but the words that you chose.
truly.
I thought everyone wanted to know who they are. Is that true or not?
Mm-hmm.
You really, truly want to know, see yourself and know who you are. Because one of the last steps is giving up yourself. So it is hard. It's hard to do. Okay? But even if you just wanted to see, who's Swami Rama and who am I? And stand the two of you next to each other without bodies, you would be blown away at the beauty and the power and the glory. And if you see the Divine Mother, I know that you're part of that. If you just see who you are, you'll be stunned. You'll never think of yourself the same way. The power there, the love there, the beauty there. Remember we're always singing Satchit Ananda? That's who we are. Even if we sing off key. Existence, consciousness, and bliss. Pure happiness. That's what we are. Kind of hard to find sometimes when you're out shopping for a right pair of underwear or something, we forget about these things. I think most of our life we forget who we are. And the only time we do remember is when we sit down to meditate. Right? And the great ones who have achieved their samadhi and then they're in that state most of the time, they forget who they are. I've told you many times about Swami Ram. I'd come in and I'd say, Guruji, here's, Swamiji, a cup of milk. And he'd look at me, and I knew he didn't know who I was. And he'd look around the room, and then his mind, you could see in the face, oh yeah, I know where I am. I'm on earth right now. I'm in America. I promised to help them, teach them how to do yoga. Okay? And you'd watch all that come on his face. And he'd say, did you put sugar in for me? But it would take several minutes to reach that point, you see. And at some point when you're going to go into meditation, you're going to touch into samadhi. And you'll have feelings similar to that. You're just going to be blown away. And then you'll come back into the body and you don't want the body then. And after a few minutes you'll go, okay, I'll stay. Because the mind will take over and you'll go, remember you got a party tomorrow. Okay? Things that we have to do yet, things that we want to do will come up in the mind. And that's when the ego takes over, the mind takes over. Ego. This is me. And then you'll think, who was that other person? Right? And so the sages, they're doing this back and forth, the great yogis that'll go into samadhi, back and forth all the time. And you could see it. I've told you a few times walking in on Swamiji, and the light was just shooting off of him. We have a few pictures of him, but usually in the photos it looks about this wide. When I would see him, it would be 6 feet out. Just white light, yellow light coming. And I'd say, Swamiji, what do you say when you walk in with him? I walk in with this tray of food, and I look at him and, I was a real dumkopf, right? But I couldn't think what to do. Not even a table to set the tray on, I'm not going to put it on his lap with all this light coming off of him. So I tried to back out, set it over here on the chair, and come in and just sit at his feet. My goodness. And then slowly the light would go in, and he'd turn to me and he'd say, hello, tree. Totally different voice. I'd say, hi, Swamiji. I said, where were you? One time he said, with the Divine Mother. I said, Swamiji, is she beautiful? Yes. Prettier than me? Are we stupid or what? Part of my job was to make him laugh. And I did that time too. He looked up and he said, yes. I said, impossible, Swamiji, impossible. And he goes, so get me choke. The great ones, they're back and forth all the time. And the more you can meditate, the closer you're getting to that point. And at some point, you'll meditate, you'll have something happen to you, and you'll have a little glimpse of that. And then more and more over time, the glimpses will get a little longer, a little more powerful. And one day you'll see who you are. You'll see who the Guru is. If you're very brave, you'll see what God is. Okay. Here's a good one. This is Guruji's, not his words, but his idea. The shortest cut for knowing truth is just to know yourself. Most of us don't know who we are, do we? We don't know ourselves. And that's why meditation is so very important, because you're looking at yourself all the time. You're looking at, what's all this junk? Oh, that's what my mind is bringing up. Well, if we can get past all this junk, then who's there? Then you see who's there. Oh, well, I see that it's got a whole bunch of veils on it. Can I get past those veils? And then more junk will come. No, I want to go back to those veils. And at some point, you'll raise this veil and the next one so that you can see yourself. And usually the sages will help us have just a little taste here and there, a little view here and there to keep us going. Otherwise, we can get discouraged. So when you keep doing it, something wonderful will happen for you. It could have you go another 10 years, depending on what you get, of course, right? But usually the sages will give you a little taste of something, so you know a little more who you are. We're not who we think. Much as how wonderful you are and how much you love your wife, we're really bigger than that. Especially since she graduated. Yeah. Because we do the best we can. You know, I think our bodies are incredible. They're wonderful. The things they can do, right? Where's the little one? You know, we came sitting in a good yoga class. You see what some of the students can do. It makes you realize what the human body is capable of. And then the next step is, who are we? That we can do this incredible stuff with this body, with this breath. Who made us? We're really incredible. And the more you see it, kind of makes your mind go, whoa, human beings are something else. And then the next time I'll read a newspaper and hear this one murdered this one and these two fought and stuff, I feel like crying because they have no idea who they are. They don't even know how good they are. And that's why they have to cover it up with all this bad stuff. There's a lot out there that is trying to pull in a different direction because of the fear of who we are. And it's difficult to know who we are. But the more you work on it, the closer and closer you get, the truer it will come. And you'll be able to see yourself in a different light. When that happens, then you either say, I have to leave this world and go to my beloved, or what can I do to help others to see what I saw? Okay? One of those two things you'll do. That's why some of the yogis will just drop their bodies, and some will stay and teach. The highest of all wisdom is in surrendering your ego. The mind needs to learn one thing, to be quiet and surrender before the reality, the truth, that which is self-sufficient. And the ego, you've heard from Swamiji and me and Maharaj many, many times, the ego has got a big ego. Has to be praised, has to be in charge, has to think it knows everything. Our human ego is big. And it keeps us going in the world. We need it. We really can't do without it. But it doesn't want to be put in its place. It wants to be number one all the time, like that big bank, you know, downtown. You fly in, you come in on the highways, you see this first, the big number one. And every time I look at it, I think, the ego. The ego of humanity. We can't even make it second or third, or maybe 25th, where it really belongs, you know. And that's what causes us a lot of problem, is our ego. So we have to try to get control over it, which is not easy to do, is it? Here's a good one for you. When we love someone, we are really saying, I want to be loved. It's actually selfishness. I'm going to come back to this one. Let me read you the last two I've got. Are you not aware that you are the finest creation of the divine? Truth is that which is self-existent, which needs no support. Truth is that which is eternal and never changing. So therefore, we're not truth. we are truthful as best we can be. But as long as we're changing, it's not truth. Okay, when we love someone, we're really saying, I want to be loved. And it's actually selfishness. Any of you understand that? No? Yes? Okay.
I love you. I'm madly in love with you. Okay?
I love you too.
Okay. I don't love you anymore. What does she do?
Feelings are hurt.
Feelings are hurt. That's where the selfishness comes in. So the way we are been taught to love is give and take constantly. So I had to learn this the hard way. You know, I'm kind of stubborn sometimes. Very much in love with Swami Rama, right? This is my Guruji. So after serving him all these years, and he looks at me one day and he says, "You make me want to throw up. I hate you. Get out of my sight. You make me sick." Well, what do I do after crying or after the shock? You know, you're trying to figure out, what does that mean? And it means, I love you. Doesn't matter if you love me back. There's a difference in it. I went on loving him as much as I could, at the same time getting out of his presence so he wouldn't throw up. Because I loved him. And it made me finally realize, after many, many years of being in spirituality and loving my guru, that I didn't have to get love back from him. If I say I love you, it means I give love to you. It doesn't mean give it back. See? So you think about a lot of parents, for example. They raise that baby and they love the child, and the child gets to be 21 and says, "Mom, I hate you. Dad, I don't want to see you again." And they leave. Do you stop loving your child? Never. If the child called in 10 years crying and said, "I need some money," you'd send it. It's the same thing with the guru, with your teachers. You love as much as you can, and love does not mean getting something back. It's a little bit more type of advanced love because it's very hard to do, very hard. And you know, if your child says, "I hate you, I never want to see you again," you're going to cry about it. You're going to be upset for a long time, but you're not going to stop loving. And occasionally, the gurus will do something weird like that, which my weird guru did to me. So for about a year, I didn't see him or talk to him. I did all his work, but I couldn't see him. And you know, after a year, he called me down to his room. I was so frightened walking down that hallway that I didn't walk on for a year. I was shaking. I came in and Swamiji sitting at the desk, at his table, and he says, "Tree, get me tilk." I was so, you know, so I made his tilk kind of like this, brought it to, and he said, "Sit down, sit down." So I'm sitting down at a table with the guru who said I made him sick, you know, and he hated me, and he goes on to the next project. And I said, "Swamiji, what? I said, "Swamiji, you killed me. Because I felt that that was the end of my life. You killed me." He said, "Yes, but look what came out of the grave." He says, "Now you know what love is." So most of us love because we get something back. Many of the great ones, they're not loved by the world, and they love us anyway. Okay? So it's something to think about. Sometimes when you're being very, very good, the person that you're helping is not interested, will not love you back. Doesn't matter. Our job is to love. Okay? All right, let's meditate.